My family abandoned me, but now I'm rich and they want my money. I am my mother's oldest biological child. When I was 5 years old, my father passed away and she remarried my stepdad when I was 8 years old. When I was 9, I was sent away to live with my father's sister, who lived states away, because her husband didn't want me to live there anymore. They used to pay my aunt some money to watch me, but when I was 14 years old, they stopped. My aunt and uncle worked low-paying jobs and had 2 of their own children, so they really couldn't afford the extra expense of having me around without that help. Despite that, they let me stay and continued to treat me like one of their own. I very rarely saw my mom. I think I saw her maybe 5 times between the ages of 9 and 18. She never even called. She went on to have 3 more children, a son who's 19 now, a daughter who's 18, and a son who's 16 with my stepdad. Growing up, I used to talk to my siblings and parents on social media to see what their lives were like, and it was the polar opposite of mine. They regularly went on expensive vacations, lived in a massive house, owned the latest gadgets, etc. I went to college and I got married at 23 years old. My mother and siblings have no idea that I'm married. I'm currently 28 and doing well financially. My husband and I own our own house, we have several very profitable investments, and we work high-paying jobs. My cousins, a 30-year-old female and a 27-year-old female, and I all contributed to help my aunt and uncle finally purchase their own home last year. Recently, my mom showed up at my aunt's house, begging for financial help. Apparently, my stepdad suffered from a gambling addiction a few years ago and lost all of their savings. Now, with the pandemic, he's lost his job, and they can't afford to keep their house without help. My aunt explained that she didn't have any money to help her, and when my mother demanded to know how she could afford her new house if she had no money, she explained what my cousins and I had done. My mom then asked for my number. When she called me and explained the situation, I told her I couldn't help. She kept begging me and claimed my siblings would be made homeless if I didn't help them. I told her maybe she should sell some of the fancy stuff or they could all get jobs, like my cousins, and I had to. I hung up before she could reply. Since then, I have been receiving message after message from my mom, my siblings, and even my stepdad begging me for help. I have never spoken to my siblings in my life. They've begun harassing my husband and my sister-in-law. They've also reached out to my aunts and cousins multiple times trying to get them to convince me to change my mind. I am so angry with them all. They threw me away, and when they needed something, they came crawling back. But the guilt is also starting to set in, and I don't know if I'm the one that's being the jerk. Am I? The OP here is in a lose-lose situation. If the OP is poor, then the parents and the family want nothing to do with the OP. When they find out that the OP is money, then all of a sudden, they want some of the money. None of these family members care about the OP herself, they just want what they can get from her. The money just changed what direction the negligence came from. There's a Seneca quote that says, "For many men, the acquisition of wealth does not end their troubles, it only changes them." And that is exactly what happened here. Making more money didn't make her family suddenly love her more, it just changed the way that it looked. One of the comments brought up a concept called adult adoption. I've actually never heard of this, and a few people are recommending that the OP look into it because, in these circumstances, depending on where the OP is, it can affect inheritance. In the example that they give, they say if the OP and her husband pass away at the same time, like in a car accident, for example, with no kids, depending on where they are, and if they pass away without a will, their assets could be split between the OP biological mother and her husband's parents. Given the story, the OP might not want that. So, if you were in this situation, if your family abandoned you, and then later on in life you had a bunch of money and they came to you and asked you for money, would you give it to them? Let me know down below.